Hello everyone, my name is Akshay Anand and I am currently working as an intern at RenoSync Software Pvt Limited. Today I am here with a brief yet insightful presentation on JavaScript. Whether you are a beginner or just refreshing your knowledge, this video will cover key JavaScript concepts that every developer should know. So let's dive in. JavaScript is a programming language used to make websites interactive. It allows developers to add dynamic elements like buttons, animations, and live updates to web pages, enhancing user experience. JavaScript was created by Brendan Eich in 1995 while he was working at Netscape. Initially, it was called Mocha, then renamed to LiveScript, and finally, it became JavaScript. While JavaScript originally ran only in web browsers, today it is also used for server-side development with Node.js, making it a versatile and powerful language in modern web development. Now let's go over some JavaScript basics, starting with variables. JavaScript provides three ways to declare variables: var, let, and const. Var was traditionally used but has function scope, which can cause issues. Let is block scoped and is recommended for variables that change. Const is also block scoped but is used for values that should not be reassigned. Next, let's talk about data types. JavaScript has two main types, primitive and non-primitive. Primitive data types include string, number, boolean, null, undefined, symbol, big int. Non-primitive data types include objects, which are used to store key value pairs, arrays used to store ordered list of values, and functions treated as objects allowing them to be assigned to variables. These basics form the foundation of JavaScript and help us build dynamic applications. You can pause the video and have a look at the syntax. Now let's talk about control flow and functions. JavaScript executes code line by line, but we can control the flow of execution using conditional statements and loops. Conditional statements like if-else and switch helps us make decisions in our code. For example, we can check a condition and execute different block of code based on the result. Loops allow us to repeat a block of code multiple times. JavaScript supports for, while, and do while loops. These are useful for iterating over arrays or executing a task multiple times until a condition is met. Now, let's talk about functions, a key part of JavaScript. Functions allow us to reuse code and keep it organized. There are three main types. Named functions, they have a defined name and can be reused multiple times. Anonymous functions, these don't have a name and are often assigned to variables. Arrow functions, a shorter way to write function using the fat arrow syntax introduced in ES6. Functions make our code more efficient and modular, allowing us to break complex logic into smaller, reusable blocks. You can have a look at the syntax. In JavaScript, an array is a special type of variable that allows us to store multiple values in a single variable. Instead of creating separate variables, we can use an array to keep data organized. JavaScript provides several built-in methods to work with arrays efficiently. Push method adds an element to the end of an array. Pop method removes the last element from an array. Shift removes the first element from an array. Unshift adds an element to the beginning of an array. Map method creates a new array by applying a function to each element. Filter method returns a new array with elements that matches a condition. Reduce method reduces an array to a single value by applying a function. To traverse through an array, we can use the for each loop, which executes a function for each element in the array. Arrays are one of the most powerful features of JavaScript and are widely used in web development. Now let's talk about JavaScript objects and prototypes. In JavaScript, objects are used to store data as key value pairs. They allow us to group related information together, making our code more structured and efficient. We can create objects in two ways, using object literal, the most common method, and by using the constructor method, that is new object. Now let's talk about prototypes, a key feature of JavaScript. Every JavaScript object has a prototype, which is another object. This prototype acts as a blueprint and allows inheritance, meaning object can share properties and methods. To create an object with a specific prototype, we use object.create method. This enables us to set up prototype-based inheritance, making JavaScript more flexible and powerful. Understanding objects and prototype is essential for mastering JavaScript, especially when working with OOP concepts. Now let's talk about two important concepts in JavaScript: closures and modules. A closure is a function that remembers the variable from its outer scope, even after the outer function has finished execution. This makes closure useful for data privacy and function factories. For example, if we define a function inside another function and return it, the inner function will still have access to the outer function's variable. This is commonly used in JavaScript to create private variables. Next, we have modules. With ES6 modules, we can import and export code between different files. This helps structured code efficiently, keeping it modular and reusable. Modules encapsulate code, preventing variables and functions from polluting the global scope. This makes our application more organized and scalable. Closures and modules are powerful tools that help write clean and efficient JavaScript code. JavaScript plays a crucial role in making web pages dynamic and interactive by interacting with the browser. It allows us to modify HTML and CSS dynamically, handle user interactions like clicks and inputs, control browser events like page loading and scrolling. To achieve this, JavaScript works with the document object model, that is DOM. The DOM represents a web page as a structured tree, where each element is a node. Using JavaScript, we can select and modify these elements. For example, we can use document.getElement by ID to select an element by its ID. We can use document.querySelector to select elements using CSS selectors, element.style to change CSS dynamically, element.addEventListener to handle user events. Another important concept is the browser object model. It gives JavaScript access to browser features like controlling the browser window size, displaying alerts, navigating between pages, and many more. By mastering DOM manipulation, we can create interactive and dynamic web applications. In 2015, ECMAScript 6 introduced modern JavaScript features that made coding more efficient and readable. Let's go over some key features. Block scope variables, let and const. Unlike where they respect block scope, reducing errors. Template literals. Use backtick to create multi-line strings and embed expression using dollar and curly braces. Arrow functions, a shorter way to write functions with automatic this binding. Destructuring, easily extract values from objects and arrays. Spread and rest operator. Spread expands elements and rest collects them into an array. Promises and async await. Handle asynchronous operation more efficiently than callbacks. ES6 transformed JavaScript into a more powerful, readable, and scalable language. JavaScript executes code line by line, but sometimes certain tasks like fetching data from an API, reading a file, or waiting for user input take time to complete. Instead of blocking execution, JavaScript uses asynchronous programming to handle these tasks efficiently. Let's understand how asynchronous code works with the help of the call stack, web APIs, callback queues, and event loop. When JavaScript runs a function, it goes to the call stack. If the function involves an async task like an API call, it passes to the web APIs. Once the task is done, the callback moves to the callback queue. The event loop checks if the call stack is free, then pushes the callback back to the call stack for execution. There are three main ways to handle asynchronous code: using callbacks, using promises, and using async await. Using asynchronous programming ensures JavaScript runs smoothly and efficiently without blocking important tasks. In JavaScript, errors can occur at any time, but exception handling helps us manage them gracefully and prevent the program from crashing. JavaScript provides a structured way to handle errors using the try-catch statement. Try-catch. The try-catch block contains code that might cause an error, and if an error occurs, the catch block handles it. Throw keyword. We can manually throw an error when needed. Finally block runs after try-catch whether an error occurs or not. Talking about error objects, every error in JavaScript has an object with details like message and name, helping us debug issues. By using exception handling, we can write more robust and reliable JavaScript applications. And that brings us to the end of this presentation on JavaScript. We covered essential topics like variables, data types, functions, arrays, DOM manipulation, ES6 features, asynchronous JavaScript, and exception handling. JavaScript is a powerful and ever evolving language, and mastering these concepts will help you build dynamic, interactive, and efficient web applications. I hope this video gave you valuable insights into JavaScript. If you have any questions or want to explore further, feel free to dive deeper into practice and experimentation. Thank you for watching. Happy coding.